Money is just a number in a database.
So you need an illegal to legal bridge. That's where crypto comes in. I do not see crypto being the primary database. I do own Bitcoin. Tesla owns Bitcoin. SpaceX owns Bitcoin.
I think there's an obvious long-term role for crypto. If you apply information theory to money, whether it's cryptocurrency or some other form,
The usability for the average person is not yet very good. But it has a lot of potential. I think it makes sense to support something that improves the quality of information with which we conduct the economy. Bitcoin is a candidate for that, and it's evolving.
but when governments can't keep their hand out of the cookie jar and add money database, there's probably some value to that.
Some places you can't use cash at all. So where I see crypto as effectively is a replacement for cash. There are transactions that are not within the bounds of the law, and there are obviously many laws in different countries, and normally cash is used for these transactions. But in order for illegal transactions to occur, the cash must also be used for legal transactions. You need an illegal to legal bridge. That's where crypto comes in. It can't be entirely dark, because otherwise, how do you buy normal stuff?
Sure.
And cash these days is used just much rarer. It's hard. It's like increasingly difficult to use cash. Some places you can't use cash at all.
True.
So there's a forcing function for transactions that are illegal, quasi-legal, and in some cases legal. But it's got to have some. It's got to be both legal and illegal. It doesn't count otherwise. Otherwise, you simply it can't just be transactions within an illegal economy. Because how do you buy food in a house or something? You must have a legal to illegal bridge. So where I see crypto as effectively is a replacement for cash, but not as a replacement as a primary. I do not see crypto being the primary database. So now this is sometimes taking me like I'm being judgmental about crypto, and it's actually, I think there's a lot of things that are illegal that shouldn't be illegal. But so it's not as though I think that sometimes governments just have too many laws about that. They shouldn't have so many things that are illegal. You have the ACH system, which is ancient and still in operation, which allows transfers effectively like a check would be an ACH transfer, but it's not secure. And you've got the credit card systems, which are also not secure. It would be like handing your username and password to a stranger in a restaurant if you buy a meal. So there's definitely an opportunity for something that is better from an information theory standpoint. So and there you can think of it like data on a network. I think is the way to view it. What has the most throughput? What has the least error? What drops the fewest packets? Fraud, for example, being a source of error, and government interference in currencies being a source of error. But it's fundamentally an information system. So I think it makes sense to support something that improves the quality of information with which we conduct the economy. And Bitcoin is a candidate for that. It does, I think, some things well, and it's evolving, and there are additional things like Lightning being done on top of Bitcoin. But Bitcoin per se is mostly solving for scarcity, or rather solving for essentially having no throat to choke, decentralized. So there's no one who can be coerced in any way to empty their Bitcoin account. Well, I guess they could technically, but on an individual basis, but the system as a whole cannot. And it has an open ledger, which is quite good. But transaction volume is low. Transaction cost is high, and usability for the average person is not yet very good. But it has a lot of potential. And I should say that, like, I'm not, and I apologize for taking a long time, but there certainly is a lot to say. In general, I'm a supporter of Bitcoin. and the idea of cryptocurrency in general. But as I've said publicly, we do need to watch out for crypto taking, especially Bitcoin, using proof of work to maybe use energy that's maybe a bit too much and not necessarily good for the environment. So, but on balance, I support Bitcoin, and I'm not an investor. The only publicly traded stock I own is Tesla, and the only significant thing I own outside of Tesla is my SpaceX stock that could help create both companies. So, but apart from that, I do own Bitcoin, and Tesla owns Bitcoin, SpaceX owns Bitcoin, and I do personally own a bit of Ethereum and Dogecoin, of course.
I think there's an always long-term role for crypto, really people should think of any kind of money system, whether it's a store of value or currency, as really a form of information. If you apply information theory to money, whether it's cryptocurrency or some other form, and view it in terms of how good is it at sort of bandwidth, latency, jitter, dropping packets, which is, you could say, like fraud is like losing packets or something on the network, its overall security, then I think a lot of these things just make a lot of sense in that regard. Like, look, any form of money has no power in and of itself except as an exchange of value between people for goods or services, or to translate things in time, like a loan. It is not possible to, I think, destroy crypto, but it is possible for governments to slow down its advancement. There's some value to cryptocurrency. I don't think it's like the second coming of the Messiah, which some people seem to think. We'll hopefully reduce the error and latency in the money system, the legacy money systems, and reduce governments have a habit of editing the money database, which is like probably some ancient mainframe somewhere in Virginia running COBOL. But, when governments can't keep the hand out of the cookie jar and edit the money database, there's probably some value to that.
Money is just a number in a database. That's what it is. And it's primarily an information mechanism for labor allocation. And the current databases are not very efficient. Like there are these old legacy mainframes that don't talk to each other very well, have poor security, and only do batch processing once a day. I think a lot of banks don't seem to care that much about the customer. I think Bitcoin is probably a good thing, but it's essentially, I think it's primarily going to be a means of doing illegal transactions. But that's not necessarily entirely bad. Some things maybe shouldn't be illegal. It will be useful for legal and illegal transactions. Otherwise, it would have no value as a use for legal transactions, because you have to have a legal to illegal bridge.